It was not me, it was my father. He was in a van going to a church function somewhere in Iowa. They were traveling down the highway when they saw a guy walking down the road, and the youth pastor decided to pick him up since it was raining. They asked the guy where his destination was. It was just past the town they were heading to. The rain turned into a very strong storm. It was late afternoon, and it was pitch black outside. The group kept in high spirits, singing church songs. When they were going past the town, they couldn't see anything. Shortly after passing the town, in the middle of nowhere, the gentleman said, "This is my destination." It is still storming bad outside. The youth pastor says, "We can take you further." The guide tells him this is where he needed to be. So they stop about 2 to 3 miles past this town. The guy then asks for some money. The youth pastor felt moved to give him $400 bills in his wallet, all the money he had. The guy exits the van. A large crack of thunder turns their heads away. They look back. There is no man there anymore. Split second, and he is gone, and the rain had just stopped. The group was shocked. They said a prayer for the guy and went back towards town. They turned onto the exit for the town and saw it. The town had been ravaged by a tornado about when they were going past on the highway. They went into the town to immediately start helping people. Later that night, the youth pastor pulled out his wallet, and there in his wallet were 8 $100 bills. I moved into my apartment about 5 years ago. It was my first time living alone and having my own place. After unpacking, I took pictures of everything I had. But when I took a picture of my TV, it didn't turn out right. The TV was off, but on the screen there was a white girl with black hair wearing a blue shirt. The shirt left the shoulders bare, and there was a man on his knees in front of the girl. He was wearing a white shirt that was way too big for him. Standing behind the man on his knees, and next to the girl, was a tall, older man. He was skinny and balding, and was wearing a brown suit with black pinstripes. After I took the picture, I didn't want to live there anymore. Then, weird things started happening. My cat, who got spooked easily, started hissing at something I couldn't see. My favorite Coca-Cola glasses fell by themselves off of the draining board. It wasn't even close to the edge of the counter. Months later, I was getting ready for bed. I was standing in front of my bedroom door when this black figure walked right out in front of me like I wasn't there. I can't explain it. Weird stuff still happens. When I'm in my bedroom, I can smell cigar smoke as if someone's blowing it right in my face. I can hear old-timey music, like from the 20s. I can also hear conversations going on in the living room when I'm the only person in the apartment. And I keep seeing this girl in a blue dress and black hair standing at the foot of my bed. She never does anything, just stands there and watches me sleep. When I was a kid, I woke up in the middle of the night to my bed shaking. Normally, that would scare the crap out of me. But instead, I was just kind of annoyed. I rolled over and muttered, "Stop it." The shaking stopped immediately. Then a male voice speaks right beside me, saying, "Sorry." That's when I freaked out. I'm pretty sure my childhood house was haunted. I was a rookie cop when my brother committed suicide. He was one of my older siblings, but we were very close. He died in another state, and I had a lot of guilt about not recognizing the signs. His remains were in bad shape by the time he was discovered, so it was a closed coffin service. About a week after he died, I was back at work one night. My partner and I see a pimp pistol whipping one of his girls. I jump out and the pimp sees me, and the foot chase was on. I was running after him, gun in hand, and he cuts through a narrow corridor under a building that leads to a courtyard in the middle. Right before I reach the courtyard, I hear, "It's okay," in my dead brother's voice. I hit the courtyard, and the guy's against the side pointing a gun at my head. He squeezes the trigger twice. I froze for a millisecond, and then started beating him in the head with my revolver. Till this day, I don't know why I didn't just shoot him, cuff him, and walk him back to the street and find my partner. I told my partner about him squeezing the trigger, but not the voice I heard. We unload the gun right there, and 2 bullets have strike marks on them. Take the gun to the lab for testing. Tell the tech the story. He puts the 2 bullets with strike marks back in and shoots them into the test tank. Both bullets fired. A good friend of mine, while doing his rounds as a young intern, he is now a neurosurgeon. He had just looked in on a dying patient. After making the patient comfortable, he exited the room and sat on a nearby chair to write his report. After a few minutes, he looked up and saw this patient walking down the hallway. He called the woman, but there was no response. As he stood up to walk after her, she disappeared. He quickly walked towards the patient's room and saw a light under the door. When he opened the door, it was completely dark in the room, so he turned on the nightlight, went over to the patient, and felt for her pulse. She had died. We used to live in a battered women's and children's shelter when I was young, because my father was looking for us. Ugly divorce. Alabama gave him custody. Mom took us to Washington. One night, I looked in the mirror and saw a kind-looking man that I can only describe as a ghost at the end of my bed. He was there all night, but gone when I woke up in the morning. He came back the next night, and the night after that. He was there every night for 4 months. We never talked, he never moved, just stood guard. Then, one night, he woke me up from my sleep, and I'll never forget how surprised I was, because I'd never seen him move or talk. He said, "He's coming. Get out now." I woke up my mom, and we packed up the car and went to a hotel for the night. The next morning, we went back to find out someone had broken in and gone room to room looking for someone. I never saw him again after that. When I was about 10, my father and my little brother and I went camping at a nearby site. My mom didn't want to go because she was 5 months pregnant, and she didn't want to be hot and uncomfortable in the tent. Sometime that night, we heard a sound like a baby crying. My dad said it was a cat, but it went on and on. The next morning, Dad got us set up fishing, and he walked to a phone. When he came back, we had to pack up and leave immediately. We later found out that my mom had a miscarriage in the night. For years, it haunted me that that was the baby we heard crying. I work as a cave guide and lead tours where we take people actually spelunking. Well, one day we take a group down to the cave, and everybody's having a good time. We stop to take a break at a part of the cave where you can hear the underground stream that flows through the cave. We have everyone turn out their headlights where it's complete darkness. It's very relaxing. Then, all of a sudden, we start hearing what sounds like people talking out in front of us, and sounds of what seems to be rocks being thrown in the water. The thing is, there is a 100-foot drop in front of us, and the stream is at the bottom. I've never heard anything like that before in the cave, and neither had the other guy that was with me. We continue and complete the tour, and after cleaning up some of the gear, decide to go record the noises with our phones. As we are going back into the caves, a different tour is coming out. This tour takes people on concrete trails through a different part of the cave, but goes where the spelunking tour begins. The guide off this tour looks at the both of us a little surprised and asks, "How did y'all get out so fast?" We are just like, "Dude, we have been out for over an hour." He says that his whole tour could hear people talking back in the cave where the spelunking tour goes. Now everyone is kind of creeped out. We have to call the law enforcement officer and go look for the people that snuck into the cave. We never find anybody or evidence of someone sneaking in. As a teen, my friends and I used to go to an abandoned house to drink, smoke, and chill at night. One particular house we favored had easy roof access, and the view up there of the lake was really great. One night, several of us were on the roof just shooting the crap, when all we start to notice sounds like someone is walking around in the house below us. We went down to investigate, and looking through the varying windows, we all clearly see some dark figure walking around. So, like any good scary movie, we break in to investigate. We search the house from top to bottom and found nothing. We get to our last unexplored room, and it's the only one in the house that is locked. After busting our way in, we are greeted to a bedroom, and it was as if it had been untouched by time. No dust, no debris, no rotting walls, nothing. On the desk beside the bed lay a Bible. On the bed was what I can only describe as a classic witch's hat, and around it, a black lacy dress or veil. At that moment, we are already starting to get weirded out. We hear a booming sound that seems like it came from everywhere. We flew out of there. I was driving away and didn't see it, but my buddies in the car said they looked back and saw what appeared to be someone on the porch waving goodbye. Laying in bed one night, it's pitch black apart from the light creeping under the door from the landing. My mom was in the same room as we, only had just moved in, and she was sleeping on the floor. I looked up and the door creaks open, and slowly an oldish woman appears from around the door, looks at me, and goes away. I just thought it was a nightmare, and turned around real fast and went under the covers, hoping that I would wake up. Then, I'll never forget my mom whispering to me, "Did you just see someone peer around the door?" Safe to say, we didn't sleep a wink that night. I was a nanny for about 5 years to a wealthy family. They lived in an enormous house on a lake. The mom had a lot of close relatives pass away in a short amount of time and was struggling with grief. The kid was about 6 months old, and mom had gone to her counseling session. Weird stuff started happening the minute I got there. Toys lined up on the counter by themselves. I saw a piano chair pull itself away from the piano. I called my sister thinking I was going crazy, and she asked me if there were other people there, because she could hear people talking in the background. The baby started screaming in his crib. I ran upstairs to get him, but the door slammed shut in my face. When I finally got it open, he was in the middle of the floor, reaching up to something in the corner like he wanted to be picked up. All these events happened within a 45-minute window. It was intense. I took him outside and we stayed there until his mom came home. She claimed to have similar experiences, which was making it difficult for her to heal from her losses. I worked there for a long time after that, but nothing like that ever happened again. On my previous job, when our building was still under construction, the only floors that were occupied were the 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th, and 7th. One time, I was alone inside the elevator, going from 1st to the 6th floor, when suddenly it stopped and opened on the 3rd floor. Normally, I would just disregard it, but rumors were all over that a ghost child was playing around on the vacant floors. So I pressed the close button as fast as I could. When it closed, I heard noises like someone was tapping their fingers on the walls of the elevator. My uncle told me this really creepy story about a good friend of his who worked in the K-9 unit. He is a police officer. K-9 officers have to take their dogs home at night. The officer and his wife were having marital issues, and they had been angry with each other. The wife told the officer to put the dog outside, and so he did, locked up the house and went to bed. About 10 minutes later, the dog comes into the room and starts bothering the couple. The wife says, "I thought I told you to put that dog outside." The officer replies with, "I did." "Well, he got back in," she says. So the officer gets up to put the dog back outside, and when he reaches the sliding glass door, he sees his dog, barking and growling, running around. He immediately lets go of the dog in his hand and stands back. The dog proceeded to stand on 2 legs and walk through the glass and disappear into the night. After the officer got divorced, his wife admitted she had seen the demon dog thing multiple times when she was a child. Hey everyone, Dismal Hero here. Thanks for checking out the video, and if you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe so you're always up to date with my new videos. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.